there was 4 agency owners there who were all in the same niche, and a lot of them were crushing it. And then there was this guy who was at the bottom of that niche at the time, and he was making like 10K a month. All the other agencies were doing like 100, 150 in this same niche. He came to me 2 months after that event, and he was like, dude, what would it take for me to get you as a coach? I said, I don't want to do it. He said, dude, what would it take? And so I said, all right, if you want to get me as a coach, you can't. But if you want to get me as a partner, I'm open to that, because that's the only way it'd be worth my time. So I came in, I helped him, and I just copy and pasted what we did for our real estate agency into his agency. He went from 20K a month to 200K a month in like 5 months.
Did you guys have lawyers do the agreements, or was this like a handshake deal? Because you mentioned kind of the first partner that you had, you kind of got screwed. Was that kind of, a lot of people are like, oh, handshake, trust me, spit on
That's
their hand.
basically what it was. It's basically what it was. And it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me. But we created agreements, and now I would use a lawyer. Now I have an actual lawyer who helped us with he's an M&A lawyer, mergers and acquisitions, and he would create the documents for us now and actually make it legit. Yeah, that would be the proper way to do it. Have a actual mergers and acquisitions lawyer come in and create the documentation.
And would you guys create an operating agreement between the person that retains 20%, like, here's our expectations of you, here's our expectations, and if we don't meet, then they know exactly what's going to happen? Because I know a lot of people skip that, and it's just like, hey, we'll come in, we'll put in our processes, we own 80%, and then it goes to shit from there.
Exactly. Yeah, we would do an operating agreement, and that was only the first agency. The other 2 have been much different in how they've been acquired.
Yeah, I always worry about, and hopefully he remains a good friend, because I always know I've seen this happen when people turn their business around. Like when it's really small, they're willing to give you anything, really anything you ask for.
Yeah.
But then when it starts getting bigger and bigger, and I've seen this from clients that have become friends, and then they get a big check, those types of people change. And you got to figure out, like, it's amazing how money changes you, especially when there's lots of zeros.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh yeah, it's a phantom stock, it's only this, but then you don't have access to all the other things. So, as all of you are thinking about doing, if you guys are thinking of a strategy like this, make sure, always get a lawyer. It's going to cost you more in the very beginning, but it will protect you later on, because I've seen it over and over. People get a big check and then they'll forget.
That's a great point, and it's why you need really good contracts in place, like really solid agreements, because it's a big risk. You're 100% right. So agency number 2 was somebody I actually met at my business partner's event. He had a little mastermind in Missouri, and I went there and met all these guys. I just started my personal brand at the time. I just started my YouTube, and I met a few of the guys there, hit it off, had great conversations, and one of those guys there was 4 agency owners there who were all in the same niche. They were all in the same market, and a lot of them were crushing it. And then there was this guy who was at the bottom of that niche at the time, and he was making like 10K a month. All the other agencies were doing like 100, 150 in this same niche. But I really liked the guy who was at the bottom. I actually felt like he was the most knowledgeable. I felt like he had the most potential. I couldn't figure out why he wasn't doing more numbers. He came to me 2 months after that event, and he was like, dude, what would it take for me to get you as a coach? I said, dude, I don't do coaching. It's just not my thing. I'm busy with the blah, 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 blah. I said, I don't want to do it. He said, dude, what would it take? I said, all right, let's hop on. Let's have a call. And we dive in, and I was just more and more impressed with what he was saying. And I felt like he had huge potential to build something pretty big. And so I said, all right, if you want to get me as a coach, you can't. But if you want to get me as a partner, I'm open to that, because that's the only way it'd be worth my time. So he eventually brought me in as a partner, and I can break down that deal a little bit. But ultimately, he brought me in as a partner. Originally, it was rev share plus phantom equity. And that's how we started. It eventually moved towards like flat retainer and then equity, phantom equity as well. So I came in, I helped him, and I just copy and pasted what we did for our real estate agency into his agency. And he went from 20K a month to 200K a month in like 5 months. So That was the second one.
And is it
That's how
still
that went.
Phantom Agent, or is it still Phantom stock?
Yeah, it's still Phantom stock. And him and I joke about it now. He's a good friend of mine. Him and I joke like I should have gotten I should have gotten a much more aggressive deal. He was a good negotiator, and he had offers from other people who had big names in the agency space, and he was able to leverage that against me and say like, look, I have all this going on, like I have these other offers. So ultimately I probably could have gotten a much better deal than I did, but it was worth it.
I hope you enjoyed this content. If you want more content like this, make sure you click on the link on the screen or check out your most popular podcast platform where the full episode is there. And until next time, have a swank day. What are you doing? Go check it out. Click on the link. I'll see you soon.